Hey, welcome to Teaching Tuesday. My name is Reba and I'm the founder and CEO of Dare for More Ministries. We're really glad you're here. If you just kind of stumbled across us or maybe saw a friend recommended you to us, we are really glad that you have chosen to join with us. Now, we are in the middle of a series. It's called Reflections. And each week we've been really talking a little bit about just some practical things that over the years I've begun to do in my own life. As I wanted to be a better person, as I wanted to be stronger spiritually. I wanted to be stronger physically. I wanted to have my emotions more in check. I wanted to really be accomplishing something during the year. And so many years ago, I kind of started a routine in my life where when I went into the fall of the year, I would begin to reflect over how the last 9 months have gone. And these times of reflection then point me in the direction of the new year, which is, just a couple of months away now. And it's an opportunity for me to think about where I've been, think about where I'm at now and where I would really like to be as I walk into the future. And it really helps me to set, not turning over a new leaf or setting New Year's resolutions, but really setting good goals for my life that help me accomplish and get to where I want to be in these areas, different areas that I may be struggling with or that I may be hoping to change in. So we've kind of been walking through this process and we've talked a lot about a lot of different areas, but this is part 2 of how we act. And for a lot of us, how we act is a difficult thing as we reflect upon what are my actual actions. Okay, it's one thing to believe I am a certain way, but I can say I am a certain way, or I can say this is what I want to be, but it's another whole thing to kind of stop and evaluate how we really are. What do I really look like? How do I act every single day? And there's an old expression, your walk talks and your talk talks. But your walk talks louder than your talk talks. And that's just so true. What we do every single day that's who we really are. That is exactly the part of us that's coming out and revealing a whole lot about what kind of person we are. So as we step into that, last week we kind of alluded to the idea of this goal setting. So last week we looked at and evaluated how we act. In order to even know where I'm at, on the whole scale, I've got to take a hardcore look at that. But then once I'm there, I step into this next phase. And this is a phase we're going to talk about today. And that is setting goals for the future. Now, a lot of us, when we think about setting goals for the future, we think about, just very little areas in our life. We think about maybe, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, over the next 4 months. Or maybe you think about, man, I really ought to exercise more. Whatever that might be, a lot of us think of, when we think about turning over a new leaf or setting a goal, it's usually along somewhere in those lines. But I found as I began to really dive into this, that there were so many more areas of my life that I really wanted to improve in, and I had never attached a goal to it. So if we've got step 1, okay, so for this week, as you step into setting new goals for the new year, step 1 is what areas of your life do you want to either A, improve in, or B, keep a check on? So you're thinking about, I want to improve in these areas of my life, or I want to keep a check on these areas of my life to make sure I'm doing what I ought to be doing in these areas of my life. So you got to kind of think about it like that. So for me, as I walk through, I began to write down just the big basic areas of my life. And I think this will help you. So this is going to be step 1 for you, is just kind of write down some of the big basic areas of your life. For example, physical. Now those are the obvious ones sometimes. Okay. So you've got the physical area that could cover health, exercise, eating, resting, those kinds of things. And all of us probably have some areas in our life that would go underneath this physical umbrella that we want to improve in. Okay, maybe you would like to be able to, run a half marathon, or maybe you just like to be able to run. Maybe you need to get more rest. And that's an important part of goal setting in this physical area of our life. Maybe you do need to lose a little weight. Maybe you need to gain a few pounds. I'm not sure where you're at, but think about the physical area of your life and where are you at, and where would you like to be a year from now? What are some things you'd like to improve on in this area of your life? Here's the second one, and that is the spiritual area. Okay, maybe this is dealing with. I hope it impacts the way you read the Word of God, and I hope that you set goals every year. And I don't mean I'm going to read my Bible through in a year, although that's not a bad goal. Okay, but I'm really kind of focusing in on something a little bit more specific, and that is, how is God's Word reflecting and changing my life during the year? What am I going to pursue this year? So that can be very different, okay? Very different types of goals that kind of help you. Maybe there's a certain, like a word study that you'd like to do. Maybe there's a character study that you'd like to do. Maybe there's maybe you would like to, read through the Bible in a year. Maybe you'd like to do different plans. And so, man, there's so many wonderful things out there that can help you as you grow in this area of your life, but also prayer. What does your prayer life look like? I think of also not just these areas, but I also think of serving. How am I serving God with my life? Am I serving God with my life? What about my stewardship? How do I take the things that God has given me and how am I stewarding those things for His good and for His glory? Okay. And so as I look at those areas of my life, those are just a few areas that I look at in my life spiritually, but you might can think of more. So you're going to write these areas down and think, I'd like to keep a check on these areas. I'd like to set some goals in this area. Simple things. How much money do we think we can give to missionaries this year, to causes and organizations that we believe in? How could we do a better job of stewarding our family's time and our talents towards making a difference for the kingdom of God? All these kind of things fall into this area of spiritual. But also there's the mental area. And reading is a huge part of that. And I don't know if you're a reader or you're not a reader. Okay, now I'm a reader. I'm a big reader. But maybe you're not a reader. And thank goodness if you're not one, there's audio books. But one of the great things we can do is we can learn. And continuing growth in our own personal life means that we continue to learn. We don't believe we've reached a point where we know everything we need to know, but we're still learning and improving. So I would challenge you, if you've got some areas of your life that you'd like to grow in, all right, jot those areas down and then begin to do a little search on some books that may be written about those areas where you could kind of sharpen your saw, as Stephen Covey used to put it, in those areas of your life. And that would be really important. Also, think about not just reading and learning in your mental attitudes, but also just that. Maybe you found some areas as we did some evaluation that mentally you struggle. Maybe there's some just battles that you've got going on in your mind and you'd like to deal with those battles. You'd like to do a better job with those things. So that would be another area that you can jot down because these are things that we're gonna attack, okay? Also emotional. Obviously, all right, so emotional. There's so many things connected to our emotions, and sometimes we say, well, Reba, maybe what kind of goals would I set there? I'm going to try to not get angry as much. Okay, well, that might be a great goal. But many times what we thought about, or maybe we fail to think about, is the friendships, the connections, our family relationships that are so much a part of our emotions and are so connected to all that. So important for us in our emotional health to have positive friendships, to have good connections in our life, to have people that we do life with and that we're growing with. So I would encourage you to also look at this emotional area of your life. Do you have friendships in your life? Are you a person that connects with people? If not, maybe you should set a goal this year to invite some people over to your home and to have a cookout or just to have a dessert and just to be able to connect and get to know people. And that really helps us in our emotional walk. Maybe it's your marriage that you need to invest in emotionally or your children that you need to invest in emotionally. I don't know what areas it might be for you, but these may be a few. Also, vacations. Now, we don't think a lot of times about vacations going along with our emotional health, but trust me, they do. We all need a break. We really do. There's nothing spiritual about saying, well, I just don't take a vacation. Okay, well, that's not spiritual, okay? All of us need a moment to step aside, away from the busyness of life, and just to be able to unplug for a little while. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go to Disney World or a cruise. That could just mean that you just unplug in your own hometown, and you kind of step away, and you just take some days off, and you do some things with your family, and you invest in yourself, and you get a little extra rest, any or all of those things would be important. But they're so important to our emotional health as well as our mental health. So really super important that you think about these things and kind of not only just think about them, but also set a goal towards them. So we're just walking through areas here. Maybe you'd like to set it. Maybe if you're married, that's a huge important area for you. If you're parenting, that's a huge important area for you. So these may be all kinds of areas. I've just tossed out a few. You may think of a lot more that you would like to set some goals in. Maybe you're building a business and you've got some business goals that you'd like to set for your life. And so that's important as well. So just think of any area that might pertain to you and jot your areas down. All right, that's step one. Now, step two, we're going to go back and we're actually now going to take each one of these areas that we've jotted down and we're going to decide what goals would I like to set for myself for the next year in this area. Now, all I'm going to tell you with this is be realistic. Okay, if you want to lose some weight, don't set a goal to lose 100 pounds in a year. That's an unrealistic goal. Okay, so set some good goals for your life. Set some positive, realistic goals that you think you can actually meet. Now, don't understate them. Hey, I'm just going to shoot so low that I'm bound to hit it. No, what do you really need to do in this area of your life? Where are you really going? Can I get there in this next year? If so, you've got to write some goals down. All right, some goals in all of these areas. So that's kind of like, okay, that's the easy area, believe it or not, because step three is the hard step. And that is after you set the goal, you want to write down how you're going to get there. So I've got this goal. Now, how am I going to reach that goal? How am I going to know if I've gotten the goal accomplished? What checks can I put in place along the way so I see how my progress is going? Okay, so if you want to spend more time with your family and that's a goal for you that you said, you know what, this year I really would, this is an area I want to spend more time with my family. Okay, now what is that goal then? Well, I'm going to take one night a week and it's going to be family night for us. Okay, that's a goal. All right, or maybe you'd say, you know what, we're going to take a vacation this year. We're going to do 3 weekends out of the year where it's just a family fun weekend. Okay, I don't know what it might be for you, but you would think about, okay, this is the goals that I want to accomplish. Now, you go back and how do we get there? If you've said, hey, I'm going to spend 3 weekends out of the month spending some quality time with my family 3 weekends during the year and spending some quality time with my family, then what are those? Okay, where are you going? What are you going to do? How are you going to plan that out? What is that going to look like in your life? If you're going to try to do a weekend, once a quarter, how are you going to do that to get in those special weekends? And what does that look like in your life? And how do you plan those? That's how detailed you're going to get. Because here's the thing, saying I like to do this, boy, I need to spend more time with my family. Next year, I'm going to do that. All right, now how do you measure that? How do you know if you spent more time with your family? Well, it'll just happen. No, it just won't happen. It will not just happen. So you've got to say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is how this is how I'll know I've done it. All right, I'm being intentional about this, and so I think this is what we train wreck so much. We say, oh boy, I really want to do this. This is what I need to improve in. Man, I'm going to set a goal to do that next year, but our goal is so big and so broad that how do we even know that we've hit it, if we've hit it? And then we have no plan of actually accomplishing that goal. So every goal that you have should have a plan of action with that goal. You say, Reba, this is going to take some time. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And that's why I don't wait until December the 31st to sit down and go, what do I want to accomplish next year? No, that's why I start in the fall of the year, reflecting and thinking and processing through some of these things so that by the time I get to December, I've had a lot of time to reflect. I've had a lot of time to write down these goals, to make plans on how I plan on accomplishing these goals. And then I think breaking this plan down into bite-sized bits is such a good thing for all of us, okay? So I just want to encourage you in that way. Break it down, okay? You're not going to accomplish it all in one stroke, okay? So break it down into smaller pieces that you can handle, and also ways that you can say, you know what, I'm moving along. I'm actually moving towards this goal. This is awesome. All right, and so that's important for you as well. So I want to encourage you to break it down into the segments that you can actually put your arms around, especially if it's a really big goal. Sometimes I'll set a goal during the year. I'm going to write a book. Well, that's a huge goal for me. So when I'm thinking I want to write a book, okay, well, then when I go to planning it, I've got to get really specific here as to what that looks like. When am I going to write? How am I going to accomplish this? How many pages or how many words do I want to write in a week, or whatever that might look like? So I'm really breaking that down. And then as I'm moving along, if I'm at my first month and I'm looking back and I'm saying, did I do it? Yeah, I did it. Okay, well, I'm 1/12 on my way to my goal then. All right, so I'm moving along, and every month just counts. And that's the last step I want to give you, number 4, and that is execute. Here's the deal: you can never expect what you don't inspect, even in your own life. So I want to encourage you to inspect your own life. And every month, at least every month, sit down with that goal sheet and say, okay, how did I accomplish this? How am I on target? Where am I failing? Where am I succeeding? Rejoice in your successes. Reevaluate the unrealistic maybe places or the unrealistic goals that you set. Maybe you find that what you set's really not what you wanted to do at all, and you didn't realize that until you're in it. So cross that goal out or rewrite that goal to make it make more sense. So all of these things happen in that evaluation time. But you don't just wait to evaluate at your plan until you get to the next December 31st. And then you're like, oh, okay, now let me look and see how I did. No. Every single month, at least. Now, I know some people who do this every single week, okay? And I do it weekly in some areas of my life. But definitely monthly, you need to say, okay, wait just a minute. How am I executing? How am I executing? So I review those goals every month, see if I'm on track. I look at my calendar and say, hey, how's this going? Because hopefully if I plan on spending time with my family, I've got that locked in on a calendar. Those are permanent things. I'm not going to let anything that's not an emergency, alter those. And so I'm ready. Hey, that's coming up next month. All right, now I know what I got to be planning this month. I know what I got to be doing. And so you just stay steady. And honestly, this is what I found in my own life. It's not these big moments in my life where I've accomplished great things for myself. It's not. It's been in the steadiness, just the day after day, the week after week, the month after month. And months add up, and suddenly you're so much closer to the goal than where you thought you would be. And you're there. Sometimes you get it knocked out and you're like, yes. And sometimes you're like, I'm almost there. I have so little to go. My goal next year can be much shorter. It'll be much better next year because I'm almost there. So it's just such an encouragement, such a great thing for us as we set these goals in our life. We work out a plan for executing them, okay? And then we evaluate it and execute. Are we executing the goals? And what's happening in my life? And I want to tell you, if you'll do this, you'll see a difference in 2021. I can promise you. So I hope this has been helpful today. I'll try to post some of these things up so that you can review them again. But I just want to encourage you to reevaluate these things in your own life and ask yourself some questions and take the time to reflect. Who do you want to be physically and spiritually and emotionally and mentally and with your family and in your marriage and with your kids and with businesses and all the things that you do? Set some goals this year that really will make a difference in your life for the days, weeks, and months ahead. And I promise you, next year will be a great year.